Welcome back to Universal Crest TV. Arsenal dropped their first points of the season against Brighton on Saturday, a result that felt avoidable. In this match review, we'll break down the key moments to understand what went wrong and identify the crucial lessons learned from the game. We have a lot to discuss, starting with this guy. Leandro Trossard's performance against Brighton on Saturday was, to put it bluntly, the worst on the pitch. For me, this was hardly a shock. What many fans and pundits seem to overlook is the tireless work that Gabriel Martinelli contributes to the team. Unlike Bukayo Saka, who benefits from the well-established partnership with Martin Odegaard and Ben White on the right flank, Martinelli's situation is far less stable. He is often left to adapt to a constantly changing left-back position, and a defensive midfielder like Declan Rice, who does not naturally offer the creative support required to place Martinelli in dangerous positions. The absence of a steady supporting cast on the left side significantly impacts Martinelli's productivity. Unlike Saka, who thrives from a settled combination of players around him, Martinelli's role demands more improvisation and adaptability. He has to drop deep to retrieve the ball, often using his blistering pace to cover vast distances during counter-attacks. Trossard, on the other hand, does not possess the same attributes. When Trossard starts, he is forced to hug the touchline, attempting to stretch the opposition's defense without the freedom to make the dynamic runs into the box that define his game. This limitation restricts his ability to impact the game in a meaningful way. Moreover, when Trossard comes on as a substitute, the dynamics of the game have already shifted. By that point, defenders are usually fatigued from chasing faster players like Martinelli, creating spaces for Trossard to exploit. His effectiveness as a substitute hinges on this specific scenario, where his fresh legs and tactical awareness can capitalize on a tired backline. But when starting, Trossard lacks the opportunity to impose himself against a fully alert and organized defense. Until players like Riccardo Calafiori and Mikel are fully integrated into the squad, and we achieve a more consistent selection on the left side, the criticism aimed at Martinelli feels misplaced. The inconsistency in team setup makes it incredibly challenging for him to perform at his best, and it is not fair to compare his output to that of Saka, who enjoys a more stable and supportive environment. Ultimately, Martinelli's current struggle is not due to a lack of effort or ability, but rather the tactical setup and team dynamics that hinder his effectiveness. He is expected to be both a creator and finisher, roles that require different types of support and positioning. Without the right personnel around him, his task becomes infinitely harder. Martinelli's job on the left involves not just attacking but also significant defensive duties, requiring him to cover large distances and support the team in transition. This makes his role more physically demanding and less predictable than Saka's, who benefits from a more refined and cohesive partnership on the right side. Until we see a consistent team selection with creative players like Marino and fullbacks like Calafiori providing the necessary width and support, we cannot fairly judge Martinelli's contributions. Critics need to recognize the nuanced roles these players have within the team. Comparing Trossard's limitations when starting to his impact as a substitute highlights how tactical deployment can shape a player's effectiveness. When used correctly, Trossard can be a game changer, but expecting him to perform as a starter in the same way he does off the bench is unrealistic. In contrast, Martinelli's game is built on relentless work, both offensively and defensively. He plays with intensity and intelligence, understanding the complexities of his role and adapting to the lack of consistency around him. To question his value to the team, given these circumstances, seems short-sighted. We need to appreciate the different demands placed on these players and understand that Martinelli's effectiveness is often shaped by factors beyond his control. So, until we see a more balanced and consistent setup on the left, with creative players capable of delivering quality balls and linking up effectively, the criticism directed at Martinelli is unwarranted. Trossard may shine in specific situations, particularly as a substitute, but expecting him to replace Martinelli's contributions across the board ignores the broader tactical realities. Martinelli's challenges on the left are less about his ability and more about the structural support, or lack thereof, that he currently has in the team setup. This weekend's events highlighted two key points I've been stressing for weeks. First, my frustration with Arsenal's habit of making crucial transfers late in the window, and second, the growing concern over Declan Rice being played in a box-to-box midfield role. Both issues were on full display during the match, reinforcing my belief that these are fundamental problems Arsenal must address immediately if they are to compete effectively this season. Now the transfer issue. I've been vocal about my dislike for Arsenal's approach to securing key signings late in the transfer window. When crucial arrivals are delayed, it forces the club into a difficult position. Players who are brought in late have to be integrated into the squad quickly, which is far from ideal. New signings require time to adjust to the team's tactics, style of play, and overall environment, and this process is often rushed when transfers are made at the 11th hour. For a team with high ambitions like Arsenal, this lack of preparation is a costly mistake. The reality is that every game matters, especially in the Premier League where the margins for error are razor thin. The longer it takes for new players to adapt, the more Arsenal risks dropping crucial points. This weekend's result served as a stark reminder of how detrimental these delays can be. Arsenal needs to bring in their primary targets much earlier in the transfer window, allowing them the time necessary to acclimate to their new surroundings and understand the demands of the team. This early integration is essential for players to build chemistry with their teammates and adapt to Mikel Arteta's tactical setup. That draw over the weekend proved just how much we need Calafiori and Marino in the starting lineup, but we now have to wait. What's the point of high-profile recruits if they are not around when you need them? Now let's discuss Declan Rice. He's taking all the blame for the dropped points on Saturday. His actions reflected a player who is physically and mentally exhausted. His second yellow card came from a clear sign of fatigue, trying to delay play while already on a caution. He was caught in advanced positions and as a box-to-box player, he also needed to track back to support Partey in midfield, and he couldn't do it. Since the season started, Rice's role within the squad has been concerning. Playing him in a box-to-box role might seem sensible on paper, but it's proving to be a tactical miscalculation that risks both his form and fitness. In my previous video, I mentioned that this position is not sustainable for him. Over time, this will take a toll on him, leading to fatigue, a drop in form, or even injury. Every game he's played this season has validated that point. Rice is a tremendous talent, but he's being asked to perform in a way that doesn't align with his strengths, and the risks associated with this are becoming increasingly clear. Declan Rice excels as a defensive midfielder, where he can sit deeper, break up play, and protect the backline. His ability to read the game, intercept passes, and provide cover makes him invaluable in that position. However, pushing him into a box-to-box role is a different challenge altogether. It demands more running, more physical exertion, and a different kind of decision-making. Every time Rice steps onto the pitch in this role, we see signs of strain. He is being asked to cover too much ground, moving from defense to attack repeatedly, which isn't playing to his strengths. Against Brighton, for example, he appeared visibly fatigued as the game progressed, struggling to maintain his usual intensity and influence. This is precisely what I feared, a gradual wearing down of one of our most important players, because he is being asked to fulfill a role that doesn't suit him. Arteta's decision to deploy Rice in this way is baffling. While it might make sense to utilize his versatility, the long-term implications are troubling. A player like Rice should be used in his best position, where he can make the most impact without the risk of burnout or injury. Playing him in a box-to-box role not only dilutes his effectiveness, but also endangers his fitness, something Arsenal can ill afford. These 2 points are interconnected. The lack of early, decisive transfers puts even more pressure on the existing squad, forcing players like Rice to adapt to roles that are not ideal. Arsenal's strategy in the transfer market has left them short of depth in critical areas, pushing Arteta into using players in ways that do not maximize their strengths. This vicious cycle has to end. Arsenal must learn from these mistakes. Securing key signings early in the transfer window would allow for better preparation and more tactical flexibility. Players like Rice wouldn't have to be shoehorned into roles that risk their health and diminish their impact. Instead, with a full squad at his disposal, Arteta could deploy his team in a way that leverages their best attributes. This includes our latest arrival, Chelsea's Raheem Sterling, who secured a loan move to Arsenal on deadline day. His signing brings much-needed depth and competition to the right side, providing essential support for Bukayo Saka. This depth is crucial for any team aspiring to compete on all fronts, both domestically and in Europe. Sterling is a player I've long admired, and I'm delighted he's joined Arsenal. For me, Sterling's arrival is a welcome addition to the squad, one that brings a proven track record to Arsenal's attacking options. Depth and competition are crucial for any team that aims to compete on multiple fronts, both domestically and in Europe. With the demanding schedule that comes with playing in the Premier League, domestic cups, and European competitions, having quality options across all positions is essential. Injuries, suspensions, and fatigue are inevitable over the course of a long season, and the depth Sterling brings to the squad will help Arsenal manage these challenges more effectively. With him in the mix, Arsenal can rotate players without a significant drop in quality, ensuring that Saka isn't overburdened and has the support needed to maintain peak performance throughout the campaign. Sterling's arrival also injects healthy competition into the team, particularly for Saka, who has already established himself as one of Arsenal's most important players. The presence of a player of Sterling's caliber will push Saka to continue to elevate his game, knowing that there is now an alternative option who can step in and perform at a high level. This competition can only be beneficial, driving both players to new heights and ensuring Arsenal remains competitive across all competitions. Personally, I'm thrilled to see Sterling join the squad. I've been a long-time admirer of his abilities, both on and off the ball. His speed, agility, and directness in attack are attributes that will fit well with Arsenal's style of play under Mikel Arteta. Sterling is a player who thrives in one-on-one situations, capable of beating his marker and creating scoring opportunities for himself and his teammates. His ability to cut inside from the right, as well as his willingness to press from the front, aligns perfectly with the high-intensity, high-pressing game that Arteta is building at Arsenal. Critics might point to Sterling's time at Chelsea as a reason for skepticism, but that would be an unfair assessment of his abilities. Chelsea, under its new ownership, has been a club in transition, struggling to establish a clear plan, managerial direction, and consistent style of play. Sterling's lack of impact there should not overshadow the immense talent and experience he brings to Arsenal. The instability at Chelsea, with frequent managerial changes and a lack of tactical identity, has made it difficult for any player to truly excel. Sterling's situation was symptomatic of a broader issue at Chelsea, rather than a reflection of his abilities or potential. At Arsenal, Sterling will find a more stable environment with a clearer vision. Arteta has a defined strategy and a coherent tactical framework, one that plays to Sterling's strengths. The manager has shown an ability to develop and nurture talent, and Sterling's versatility will provide Arteta with multiple tactical options. Sterling can operate on either flank or even play centrally if required, giving Arsenal greater flexibility in attack. Beyond his on-field skills, Sterling also brings invaluable experience to the squad. He has won multiple Premier League titles and has played at the highest levels, both domestically and internationally. His presence in the dressing room will be an asset, particularly for the younger players, who can learn from his experience and professionalism. Sterling knows what it takes to win titles, and his winning mentality can help instill a sense of belief and ambition within the squad. Sterling's versatility and tactical intelligence will allow Arteta to employ different attacking setups depending on the opposition. He can stretch defenses with his speed and movement, or offer a more direct threat when Arsenal needs to break down stubborn defensive lines. This adaptability makes him a valuable asset in a team that needs to be flexible to navigate the challenges posed by different competitions and opponents. Moreover, his ability to play in different positions means he can cover multiple roles, reducing the need for Arsenal to over-rely on any single player. Whether it's stepping in for Saka or providing an additional attacking option off the bench, Sterling's presence ensures that Arsenal is better equipped to handle the rigors of a long season, especially with the new Champions League format for the 2024-25 season. According to UEFA, starting from the 2024-25 season, the Champions League will introduce a new format featuring 36 clubs in the league phase, replacing the current group stage that involves 32 teams divided into 8 groups of 4. In this revamped format, each team will play 8 matches against 8 different opponents, instead of facing 3 teams twice, home and away. 4 of these matches will be played at home and 4 away. Teams will be seeded into 4 pots based on their rankings, with each team drawn to face 2 opponents from each pot, playing 1 match at home and 1 away. Qualification for the Champions League will remain open, depending on a club's final position in its domestic league and the association's ranking in the UEFA Club Coefficient. The new format introduces 4 additional slots for the 2024-25 season. 1. Slot 1 will be awarded to the club that finishes 3rd in the domestic league of the association, ranked 5th in the UEFA coefficient. 2. Slot 2 will go to a domestic champion by increasing the number of clubs qualifying via the Champions Path from 4 to 5. 3. Slots 3 and 4 will be given to the 2 associations with the best collective performance by their clubs in the previous season. These associations will each receive 1 automatic spot in the league phase for the next best ranked club in their domestic league. The league phase standings will be determined by match results, with teams earning 3 points for a win and 1 for a draw. The top 8 teams will automatically qualify for the round of 16. Teams finishing 9th to 24th will compete in a two-legged knockout phase playoff to secure their places in the round of 16, while teams ranked 25th or lower will be eliminated without access to the Europa League. This new single-league format ensures competitive play until the final day of the league phase. In the knockout phase playoffs, teams ranked 9th to 16th will be seeded and will face teams placed 17th to 24th, with the higher-ranked team hosting the second leg. The 8 winners of these playoffs will advance to the round of 16, where they will face one of the top 8 finishers, who are seeded. To enhance the connection between the league and knockout phases and increase sporting incentives, the knockout matchups will partly depend on the league phase rankings. A draw will determine the pathway for teams to reach the final. From the round of 16 onward, the competition will follow the existing knockout format, culminating in a final at a neutral venue chosen by UEFA. All games before the final will continue to be played midweek, respecting the domestic league schedules across Europe. The final will remain a Saturday fixture. Jurrien Timber's injury troubles are becoming a growing concern for Arsenal, raising doubts about his long-term future with the club. There's no denying Timber's talent. He's a player with immense potential who, if fully fit, could significantly bolster Arsenal's defensive line. His versatility, ability to play both as a centre-back and full-back, and his skill in ball progression make him an asset that any team would want. However, his ongoing fitness issues cast a long shadow over his potential contributions. Seeing Timber limp off again after spending most of the season sidelined due to injury is frustrating for fans and concerning for the club's management. His frequent injuries mean he is unavailable when the team needs him most, and this pattern is becoming hard to ignore. As talented as he is, the reality is that Arsenal requires players who can be relied upon throughout the season, especially in key positions like defense, where stability and consistency are critical. Timber's inability to stay fit makes him an unreliable option for Arsenal moving forward. The club invested significant resources to bring him in, believing he could be a key part of the team's future, but injuries have largely prevented him from fulfilling that role. His latest setback has only reinforced the concerns that were beginning to build. Injuries are part of football, but when they become a recurring theme for a player, it forces a team to reconsider its plans and priorities. There is no doubt that the team loses much more than just a player when Timber is injured. The coaching staff is left scrambling for alternatives, adjusting tactics and lineups to compensate for his absence. The team's overall chemistry suffers, as does the confidence in a defensive line that needs to be cohesive and dependable. Each time Timber goes down, it disrupts the team's rhythm and hampers their ability to maintain consistency. In a sport where momentum and stability are crucial, having a player who is frequently unavailable is a significant liability. From a financial perspective, Arsenal may also need to start weighing the costs versus the benefits of retaining Timber. Keeping a player who is unable to contribute on a consistent basis can be costly, not only in terms of wages, but also in the missed opportunities to bring in a more reliable and durable option. Timber's current trajectory suggests he may continue to be a risk for Arsenal, and in a club aiming to compete at the highest levels, taking such risks with key positions can have serious repercussions. Edu and the club's management must make tough decisions in the coming months. While it's always difficult to part ways with a player who has the talent to make a real difference, football is ultimately about results and consistency. Timber's injury history makes it difficult to depend on him moving forward. If Arsenal is serious about building a squad capable of challenging for titles both domestically and in Europe, they need to focus on players who can stay fit, perform consistently, and offer the reliability that Timber, unfortunately, cannot provide at this point. Timber's situation may require a pragmatic approach. Arsenal might need to cut their losses and look elsewhere for defensive reinforcements. This doesn't mean his career is over or that he can't find success elsewhere, but for a club like Arsenal, which is looking to climb back to the top tier of European football, maintaining a player who is frequently unavailable is simply not a sustainable strategy. But despite the uncertainties surrounding the current state of the squad, Arsenal is still poised to be a formidable force in the Premier League this season. The team's depth, talent, and tactical flexibility suggest that they will be a strong contender for domestic honors. However, it is in the Champions League where Arsenal has the potential to make an even bigger impact and perhaps cause a significant upset. The key to achieving this will be how quickly and effectively Arsenal integrates their new signings Calafiori, Merino, and Raheem Sterling into their setup. These new additions bring a range of skills and qualities that could transform Arsenal's dynamics on the European stage. Calafiori adds youthful energy and defensive solidity, offering a fresh option at left back, who can both defend resolutely and contribute to attacking play. His ability to cover ground and join the attack could be crucial in games where Arsenal needs to press forward or maintain a high tempo against tough European opponents. Merino, on the other hand, provides the technical prowess and creative vision that can unlock defenses. His experience in central midfield offers the club a dynamic presence capable of dictating the pace of the game, controlling possession, and delivering those decisive passes that can break through even the most stubborn backlines. With his ability to play both as a deep-lying playmaker or a more advanced midfielder, Merino adds a layer of unpredictability to Arsenal's tactical options, something that will be invaluable in the complex and varied tactical battles of the Champions League. Then there's Raheem Sterling, whose arrival on loan adds an element of proven quality and experience in Europe. Sterling's speed, agility, and goal-scoring ability make him a significant threat in any attacking scenario. His understanding of the English game, coupled with his vast experience on the European stage, provides Arsenal with an edge in the crucial knockout phases, where one moment of brilliance can make all the difference. His versatility means he can support Saka on the right or operate in other attacking roles, providing Mikel Arteta with tactical flexibility. The challenge, of course, lies in how quickly these new signings can be integrated into Arsenal's tactical setup. Success in Europe often hinges on cohesion and understanding among players, and the sooner Calafiori, Merino, and Sterling familiarize themselves with the squad's playing style, the better Arsenal's chances of making a deep run in the Champions League. Tactical induction is critical here. Each player must not only adapt to the team's strategies, but also build strong on-field relationships with their teammates. Arsenal stands on the verge of making history. The club has not won a major European trophy since the 1994 Cup Winners' Cup, and this season presents a unique opportunity to change that narrative. The combination of exciting new talent and a well-structured team gives Arsenal the potential to compete against the best teams in Europe. However, success will depend heavily on how quickly and effectively the new signings can gel with the existing squad and adopt Arteta's tactical philosophies. In the Champions League, where margins are often razor-thin, Arsenal's ability to adapt and present different tactical setups will be crucial. Each opponent in Europe brings a unique challenge, and having a squad that is versatile and unpredictable could give Arsenal the upper hand in key moments. It's not just about individual brilliance, but about how well the team functions as a cohesive unit. If Calafiori, Merino, and Sterling can find their rhythm quickly and make their mark, Arsenal could surprise many by not only advancing far in the tournament, but potentially going all the way. While uncertainty remains, there is also a sense of optimism and excitement around what this Arsenal squad could achieve. They are on the brink of something special, and if all the pieces fall into place, they could not only challenge for domestic glory, but also become a force to be reckoned with on the European stage. This season could be the one where Arsenal defies expectations and writes a new chapter in their illustrious history. All eyes will be on how quickly the new arrivals adapt, and when they do, Arsenal could be poised for greatness. Till then, that's it for now.